What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome to our 1,000 subscriber special. It has been a long time coming, and honestly, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to all of you who have joined up until now. You know, by now we're actually at 1,100 subscribers, so you guys have been doing a great job of hitting that like button, hitting the subscribe button. It's just been fantastic to see the growth this channel has gotten. And I'm really excited to see what we have in the future. But for today, we're focusing on this podcast. And joining me today are some really awesome people, 5 awesome people. And we're just going to have them introduce themselves here. They're also going to introduce themselves as far as their characters that they are currently playing in Curse of Strahd. And we're just going to kind of talk through where we're at in Curse of Strahd. We're going to talk about how their characters have kind of gotten to know the world, how they've interacted with the world. There will be some heavy spoilers for Curse of Strahd, so if you don't want any spoilers, I would say go play it and then come back, but that's a little bit of a tall order. But it's still going to be great. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. So we will start off the day with our rogue. Her name is Molly, and here she is to introduce herself and her character.
Okay, hello, I'm Molly. I play an Eladrin rogue inquisitive named Rose. She mostly uses like a rapier to fight, but also she can use like a short bow from a distance. She kind of switches in combat. It's really fun. She's been trying to get into acrobatics recently. Does a lot of flips. And she's very cool.
Very good. And how long have you been playing D&D?
For like a few years on and off, kind of.
Very good. Next up, we are going to go to our paladin. This is Anthony. Go ahead and introduce yourself and your character.
All right. My name is Anthony, like you said. I play Accio, the Oath of Devotion paladin, but don't let the name fool you because Accio is an extremely horny individual, so that's kind of fun to role play. I went for the religious soldier or whatever it's called fighting style that gives you the cleric cantrips, and I am very bad at keeping track of my spell slots.
Very good. And how long have you been playing D&D?
This is my first full D&D campaign. Actually, this campaign was my first time ever really playing the game. I've had an interest in it for a long time, but I had never gotten a group together, so it's been a lot of fun. It's definitely a bit of a learning curve.
Very good. Next up, we have our Blood Hunter, who has been on the channel before. We've always called him Matt G. Today he'll probably just be Matt, but either way, here he is to talk about his character.
Hello, my name is Matt, and I play as Valen, the Shifter Blood Hunter, Order of the Profane Soul. Valen is a very dreary, very gloomy, quite depressed individual. He wears all black, he has a really sick cape, and a really cool snake sword, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little more later. But yeah, he is my sad, sad boy, but I love him very much.
And how long have you been playing D&D, Matt?
I have been playing D&D for, a couple years. I run another game, and we're playing Lost Mine of Phandelver, and this is my longest running campaign that I've been a player in, though.
Very good. Next up, this person has also appeared on the channel before, and just a little warning, she is a little sick right now, but this is my wife. This is, we've always referred to her as Snappy Bear. Her real name is Reagan, but she's going to talk about her character. And again, her voice is a little different than normal, but she's just a little sick, but she's all good. Take it away.
Hello, I'm Reagan. So I play Nissa Wellbetter, which is a rock gnome, and she's an artillerist artificer. 6 levels in artillerist artificer, and then 1 level in peace domain cleric. And she is someone who always tries to have a positive attitude, is as helpful as she can be, tries to be very perceptive with a 19 passive, just saying. And yeah, always down for adventure.
Very good. And how long have you been playing D&D?
I have played Lost Mines of Phandelver, I want to say 2 years ago, maybe. And then I've just been reading stuff, watching stuff, and then this is my first actual like big time campaign that I've done.
Very good. Joining us also right here is Tucker. He's currently asleep while we're recording this, but those of you who have been watching the channel for a while will know Tucker. He's just supporting us as we record today. And finally, we have our druid. Please introduce yourself, Allie.
Hi, like he said, my name is Allie. I play a character named Love Lady. She is an Earth Genasi druid. She's a Circle of the Land druid. She normally uses a dagger for her weapon of choice, but also uses a lot of spells. And I've been playing D&D for about a year now.
Very, very good. So as far as today goes, we're going to talk a lot about our journey through Barovia so far. So as Reagan mentioned, we are currently level 7. We will be eventually going up to level 10. They leveled up to level 7, I believe, 2 sessions ago. So level 7's still a little bit new. And of course, she also mentioned that she is multi-classed into Peace Domain Cleric. Our Blood Hunter, Matt, is playing also some multi-classing. He has a couple of fighter levels in him and possibly might be getting a little angry doing some barbarian stuff in the future, possibly. But they're just kind of exploring that. Before we move on, of course, my name is Dapper. I am the DM, of course, for this campaign. We are using the Beetle and Grimm's version, the legendary edition of Curse of Strahd. And so we have a lot of really, really cool maps, a lot of really cool props. If you haven't checked that out, I'll leave a link in the description for that if you want to check it out. # not sponsored. But yeah, you can totally check that out if you want to see everything about that. After this, we're going to be playing Wild Beyond the Witchlight with my wife actually DMing that, and we have I think it's the Platinum edition for that as well from Beetle and Grimm's, and so we're looking forward to all of that as well. So, without any further ado, it's my second time telling you spoiler warning before we jump into all of the details of Curse of Strahd so far. You have been warned. So, currently, we have our adventuring party. They're currently in the middle of a fight up on Yester Hill, where they have been fighting a bunch of druids, and a bunch of trees, a bunch of blights have come to life, and somebody had a staff that they got from the winery not long ago, and they kind of delivered the bomb, so to speak. That was the way it was worded. So the bomb was planted, and so all of the blights kind of died. Now, as far as some homebrew things go, I worked in part of Allie's backstory, our druid's backstory, that her sister was actually captured in part of what was being used in order to raise Winter Splinter. So it was also part of a rescue mission. So I think that kind of raised the stakes a little bit of that entire situation, as far as making it a little bit more relevant to need to get there right now. So talk to me about at least just the winery part and the Yester Hill part so far. What have you guys enjoyed? What has been your favorite moment of that so far? And then we'll jump back from there. But just relevant to kind of what's fresh on our minds. How are y'all feeling about the winery in Yester Hill?
I've really enjoyed the amount of tension that this whole plot line basically has established for us, because we just heard that the winery was taken over and by some mysterious druids who all we knew about them was that they were very powerful and very scary and to not go near them. But now we're kind of charging headlong into them, and we did our best to create a plan of action that immediately got thwarted whenever a bunch of lights appeared around us, and we just had to run inside the winery, barricading ourselves inside. But we ended up taking it out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, they have arrived here a little bit higher level than what the book calls for. So
just a little bit.
I may or may not have beefed up the encounter at the winery just a smidge. And so, yeah, that fight took most of one session. It took a good while. But I think it was a lot of fun. A lot of people got to show off a lot of varying parts of their characters, which is really cool. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about that snake sword that was brought up here earlier. As you all know, I do like to homebrew a lot of things. You know, just last week we talked about the war cleric on the channel. The link to that will be up in the icon above. We talked about that, and I really like to homebrew subclasses in order to make things work. But I really like making magic items. And so I made this sword for Valen, for our blood hunter. And go ahead and talk to me about that item.
So, as Depper said, he homebrewed this sword for me. So, as our party was exploring the city of, was it Vallaki?
It was
Vallaki. We explored the city of Vallaki. We made our way to the blacksmith because I think didn't Akio have armor that you were trying to get fixed?
Yes.
Yeah, I found an old suit of armor, plate armor, in a house, and it was like falling apart, so I needed to get it repaired because I didn't want to buy new armor.
Important distinction. It was a death house, which
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it had come to life and tried to kill us.
I forgot about that. Anyway, so we go to the blacksmith shop, and this old dude, this dude was like 90 or something, running this blacksmith shop, looks straight at me and is like, "Hey, you look big and sad. Somebody told me to give this sword to a really big and sad guy." And I was like, "Well, that's me." So he hands me this sword, and it's segmented, like the blade. It's a long sword. The blade looks like it's broken, into a bunch of little pieces. And it's got a button, and you press the button, and it bends. Like if you've that's a spoiler, never mind, for Demon Slayer. But anyway, disregard. But so yeah, it literally bends like a snake, and I can lock it in other positions, and I can like wrap people with it. It's really sick. And as I said, I play a Pact of the Tome, or not Pact of the Tome, Order of the Profane Soul Blood Hunter, and I chose the Hexblade because I love Hexblade. So yeah, it talks to me, and it's really spooky, but it's a really sick weapon. So
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with that weapon. It's come up in some really interesting ways. So we are using the Mandy Mods Orphanage, and we are also using the Reformation Center in this run. And for the Reformation Center, there were some bars on the courtroom, and it was used in order to yank some bars off of the windows, which was a pretty interesting use that I hadn't seen coming when you did that. There were several other things that really came up from that's been really, really cool. I'm trying to think here. Oh, another really cool magic item that has come up has been in the hands of our artificer with the shard bow. Would you like to go ahead and talk about the shard bow?
Yes. So we had a guest come and play with us, and at the end of the night gave me a bow light crossbow that my uncle Cyros had made and given to them to use, and then gave to me instead. And now it has 4. I think that's right. There's 3. It has 3 shards that glow in it, and whenever I use one, I can use it to activate different magical effects on the arrows that I shoot.
So it's got a lot of really cool things, and so basically it has a number of shards equal to the proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
And there's a big list of things that it can do. It can change the shots into like fire or cold, a bunch of different like elemental stuff. One other really cool one that happened was I added one on there that took 1 shard, and it's an arcane barrier. And
Oh my gosh.
So typically this one wouldn't sound all that crazy, but it basically is there to soften hits, and it reduces damage taken for the rest of that turn as a reaction by your proficiency bonus. And so at the time it was it's still been 3. So she took 2 attacks in one go, so it reduced it by 3 and then another 3, and she was up with 6. So it was the difference between her staying up and going down. And so that was a really cool moment as well.
I was literally sitting there like, oh, it's whatever. I mean, it's just less damage. And then realized like 20 minutes later, I went, oh my God. Like, okay,
So
never mind.
it's come in clutch. Eventually, she'll be able to use shards in order to do like explosive arrows. Currently does not have enough shards to do that currently. It does also have a teleportation mode that it can do, which is pretty cool, which she's used once, but it currently blows all of her shards in one go. So it's a little costly to use, but it is pretty cool. As far as other magic items go, I haven't been incredibly generous with all of them. I have given my druid one though. We had another special guest come who was a monk, and basically this was flavored as a relic that he had stolen from his monastery, and eventually gave it to our druid. So, Allie, would you like to talk about your bracers that you have?
Yeah, so I will probably say this incorrectly. I don't know if it's Kai or if it's Key, but
It is
the key
key.
bracers.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I haven't really got to use them that much. The most notable thing I've done is punched a spider to death with them, which was pretty epic.
So
But I'm trying to
basically,
find.
basically what this does is it allows her to use some basic monk powers, and she gets a number of key points equal to her proficiency bonus that she can use. And so she's been punching a lot of things as a druid, which is pretty cool, especially when you go into wild shape and can make extra attacks using these. It's pretty awesome. It takes your damage from wild shape and really amplifies it by a lot with your flurry of blows. Also allowing her to do a lot of other things that normally would be reserved to only a monk or only a rogue, except you still have to pay the cost. But they are pretty cool. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with that item? I don't have the stat thing right in front of me, but you might.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was pretty good timing when I got them because it's kind of like I was put in a situation where I died and then came back to life, and then I got key bracers. So it's just been interesting to kind of explore that and using it like as I, am dealing with all the things that we've dealt with in the party. Some frustrating, some aggravating. So thinking about how I'm gonna build my character out more in the future has just been interesting, and that's kind of helped with that. So.
Very cool. So going off of that, character deaths, we have had 2 so far, although we were able to recover from both of them. So our first character death was, of course, the one you just mentioned, our druid. So Lovelady died at the hands of Strahd himself, actually. They ran into him right outside of Vallaki, and this was basically the time that he could size them up and the time for them to realize what exactly they're going up against. And it went about as well as you can expect a party of level 6s. It did not go well, and I kind of two-shotted her with his bite because I rolled really high on damage. And so that was a very difficult moment. But Rudolf Van Richten was nearby. They had already sussed out his identity, and he was there ready to help. And he gave them a means in order to bring her back to life. And he gave them a means to raise this next person back to life, but they have no other means. So any more character deaths, they are permanent. So our next character death was, I believe, was Valen, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, it was me in Argent Vostholt.
Yes. So yes, in Argent Vostholt, they are looking for they are looking for their ally, and their card from back from Madame Ava, told them that it is a paladin, and they have been led to believe that it is here in the castle. Problem is, when they went to confront Vladimir, he was not having it, and in like 3 attacks, I want to say, with the help of his ghosty boys, completely destroyed our blood hunter. So it was a rough time. I don't think they were ready for the amount of damage that he did. He hurts a lot.
We went to Argynvostholt 2 levels early and then went to Yesterhill, or the winery, 2 levels late.
Yeah, but I mean that's part of this campaign, is that, you know, you can end up in areas too early or you can end up in areas way too late, and you know, it's up to the DM to move those things accordingly. You know, I didn't really adjust anything in there. I was hoping they would get the hint of maybe you're not supposed to be here just yet, especially from the 3 revenants in the chapel. But even after the 3 revenants fight that they barely won, they still pressed on. Nothing wrong with that, but they were a little outmatched in that moment. So maybe we will revisit that in the future once they have a couple more levels under their belts. As far as other notable moments from anywhere in the campaign, what have been some of your favorite moments?
This might be a little selfish, but I really enjoyed. So, like I said, I'm playing a paladin, and one of my favorite spells that paladins get is a 2nd level spell called Find Steed. That spell, I think I have used it every single long rest since I got access to it.
As long as he's been there, yeah.
Yeah. So we learned in Death House that the family dog named Sephaxus had been turned into like this demon dog, and we didn't realize until after we killed the dog that it was Sephaxus. And so I roleplayed that as my character being very heartbroken over the fact that he just unknowingly killed like a family dog. And once we leveled up to, I guess it would have been level 5 that I got access to 2nd level spells, I'm not quite sure. The next morning he woke up and there was a large, basically blue dog on his bed, and he woke up Valen with it licking his face. And we have had Sephaxus 2 basically with us ever since. Every time he goes down, I wait for a long rest and bring him back. And he has gotten us out of some situations, I will say.
He has, yeah. So basically, Sephaxus 2
he's the best.
He's a reflavored horse, essentially. So he's a big boy, and of course you're seeing him on your screen right now. He's kind of become the mascot of the group, and so we've had a lot of fun clutch moments because he is so fast, and that's just the ability to have that around at all times has been really crucial. Before we move on, speaking of steeds, I want to talk about something that happened last session that was kind of insane.
Yeah.
So, Matt, if you want to talk about what happened
gosh.
last session, this was kind of insane. Go for it.
Okay, so somehow or another, we came into possession of 2 horses. Wait, actually, I remember exactly how we got them. We got jumped by some Vistani, and we wrecked house, so we took their wagon and horses. We left the wagon outside Vallaki pretty much the entire time we were there, but we took the horses into the city and left them at the stockyard so they were taken care of. Well, after Vallaki... after what happened in Vallaki happened, we kind of incited a riot, but it's fine. We went back for our horses, and we've had them with us ever since, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we rode straight up into Yesterhill on horseback, and I was riding my horse around, and I was pulled off of it by some sort of vine spell. I don't know what spell it was. And also, I named my horse Roach because I am a very big fan of the Witcher series. So if anybody's familiar with the Witcher, you'll know that Geralt's horse is named Roach, and he loves Roach very much. So I love Roach very much, obviously. So then, was it the tree or was it the head
No,
druid lady?
it was the druid.
Yeah, she attacked my horse, and I think she one shot him because it has 10 hit points.
It doesn't have much.
So Roach died, and I was very very sad. And Mitchell, I think, was this a joke? Like, he was like, you can roll a death save for the horse if you want.
So I mean, the thing is, it's kind of weird on rules for mounts. Because technically they're not PCs, so technically they don't roll death saves. But where it's been part of the party for a while now, I was just like, we'll just treat it similar to a PC where we'll roll a death save for it, and then.
So yeah, he says you can roll a death save for Roach, and I was like, okay. So I roll my die, not even thinking about it, and I roll a natural 20.
And I'm like, well, I was going to make the logistics a little harder for them as they go to leave. Their travel will be a little slower. It'll change the dynamic of where they're going. May add a really cool emotional moment for Valen. Nope, that horse just stands back up. And I'm like, all right.
And then he runs to me because he's a good boy. So I remount my horse, and I am currently riding him as we speak. At the very end of our session, so, the druid lady shoved the magic bean into... Well, it's not actually a magic bean, it's the gem from the winery. Into Winter Splinter, and it came to life and started throwing rocks at us. So we are doing, I would say, pretty well in that fight, when you've taken out most of the druids. And at the very end of our session, I was like, all right, y'all, listen, I'm about to do something really risky, but I think I can pull it off. So I bail straight towards Winter Splinter. We just leveled up 7, so I have extra attack finally with my multi-class. It took me a while to get there. But I do 2 attacks, action surge, do 2 more attacks, and then use the horse's action to disengage and get out of there. So
it was a pretty awesome moment. A ton of damage on this tree.
I did 47 damage or something.
And then it missed its attack when you went to run away.
Yeah.
Which is nuts because it has a really big bonus to hit. But it was a good amount of damage, and so it's starting to finally turn in your favor after what was a very dire moment there not that long before. It looks that they have saved our druid sister, and so we will have a little bit more role play as far as that goes next session. And so yeah, it's been a really cool moment. So any other big favorite moments that anybody has had and would like to discuss?
I am trying to think of what specifically would be good to share. I do know that Rose was very happy when she got paid for the job we did in Valaki, because it was really chaotic, and because the riot thing was going on, everyone was going everywhere, places were burning down, we were fighting a saber-toothed tiger, and Rose was like, wait a minute, I didn't get paid. So she ran off and got her payment from Lady Bokter for a job we did for her. That was questionable morally, but
we murdered Izek.
Yes,
we murdered the captain of the guard, but it did pay. Didn't we each get 80 platinum from that?
Yeah, in our defense, he was very sus.
So
there's not a more sus character.
So for a little more context, of course, with the Reformation Center being in the game, it creates a lot more reason to off Izek, and he's just a sketchy dude overall. And in the lake, I had put a Kraken there, a much smaller version than the standard. And so basically he had been feeding Bluto had been feeding the Kraken for a while. And of course they didn't know at the time that Izek and Bluto, Bluto is not originally family, but he was in this. Izek and Bluto were the last of Irina's family. And so that was an interesting realization when they finally found out that they had killed the last remaining blood family that Irina has. But Irina is currently with Father Donovich, whichever one's in Vallaki. Questionable whether or not she's safe, because obviously things are going crazy in Vallaki. And
I'll choose to believe that she's living her best life.
that's what everybody is choosing to believe. We'll see what happens whenever you make it back. But yeah, we had a really cool moment with the Kraken where they rolled really high on persuasion in order to get Isaac to come help them with the problem. And at the very end, as he was walking back to town, they just murdered him in cold blood. It was not their finest moment, but it was a moment that definitely happened when they were there up at the lake.
We were also playing, mind you, at like 6 in the morning.
That's true.
That session.
Oh yeah, that's when we did that.
Mhm.
So none of us had slept all that great. So I was wired, and I was like, let's just fucking get this over with. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, that did feel bad, because I remember we were still in initiative, and as he was walking away, I cast command on him, and he failed his save and told him to grovel so that we all had advantage on our attacks. And I rolled a nat 20, and I used a 2nd level Divine Smite, and he has the Fiend Arm, so I did like 7d8 damage that turn. It was bad.
Gross. It was kind of.
I remember just holding my d20 and looking around at the table, and I was like, "Are we doing this?" And nobody said no. So
it was
a lot happened at the lake.
yeah, the Kraken straight up ate Bluto, and everybody looked at me like I was supposed to do something about that.
And I didn't realize until afterwards, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm playing a Protector Asimar. I can fly. I could have probably taken him out of the boat that he was in. But in our defense, he was feeding a child to the Kraken, so...
I don't feel bad about that one.
It is possible that you could have saved him, but it would have had to have been done in a specific way and quickly. But yeah, it ended up working out. Allie, what has been one of your favorite moments so far from this?
Well, I was gonna say I thought it was the whole windmill thing and the pies, and the whole Rose getting horns thing. I mean, I thought that was pretty sick.
That's true. We haven't discussed that just yet. I figured that Molly would bring that up earlier. So, of course, as you know, if you've played this campaign before, in the windmill are some hags, and they're a little high level for when you come through at level 3. What happened was back in the town of Barovia, Morgantha was there selling her pies, and then our paladin Accio and our artificer Nissa both bought some pies, not knowing exactly what was in them. And they proceeded
Listen,
to...
I hear the word pie, I'm out the door.
Also, we both bought several pies.
They kind of committed to it just off the bat, not knowing who this person was, and they proceeded to see all kinds of amazing, crazy, funky things. And so basically, like for a while, it was a struggle for both of them, just to kind of think straight and not be so focused on getting that next pie in order to feel like they were back at home or back with friends, family, fellow worshippers of the deity, that sort of thing. And so it was an interesting character moment there for both of them. I've found that in this campaign that my paladin and my artificer just love getting themselves into trouble. Just at every single possible.
We also got possessed. We were the two who got possessed in Death House.
That is also true. It was and almost died because of it at the very end of the skill challenge. So yeah, we had an interesting time there. But they got to Windmill and they met with the hags. They started a fight and it did not go well. Very quickly, they realized they were outmatched. And so basically their leader said, all right, well, either we will kill all of you dead right now, or you can help us and we will give you a little bit of a boost in power, one of you, and you can basically take out Strahd so that we can go outside of the mist in order to gather even more children, because we're starting to run low on local children to put into our pies. And so our rogue ended up taking the fall on that one. And it's been an interesting ride for Rose. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I wasn't sure when to bring up the curse/curses because there is another one.
Yep.
But this first one, so that was from the hags. She had this like pot, I guess, of like some sort of really nasty stuff, and she was like, "Okay, drink this." So Rose drank it because that's the deal, and she passed out. And when she woke up, she had horns. And those horns have been growing steadily bigger, which is not fun, because according to Van Richten, she's going to turn into a hag in like a year's time if she doesn't do something about it. So that's kind of worrying, but she can cast Hex and disguise self once a day.
So
that's
yeah,
pretty cool.
It's been interesting, this transformation from Eladrin to... if you all have read through the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, you probably know exactly what has happened here. But so yeah, basically she has taken on a new identity in the form of this curse, and then later on, they also decided to attack the werewolf den. And yeah, do you want to talk about what happened there?
Yeah, so we were trying to be sneaky, but there was like a little section of water in the cave where you would have to like swim across or like go do some sort of acrobatics or strength check or something. But the swimming was a strength check, like an athletics. And Rose is not very strong. She's a rogue. Her strength is a solid 8. So she has a -1, and she's not proficient in that. But she's not gonna take like help from people to swim. So she's like, okay, I'm just gonna do this the best I can. I'm gonna get over it. I'm gonna be quiet. And she rolled a 1 to try to swim over there on the other side of the water section. So she was just flailing around in the water, which is very loud, and alerted werewolves, which then started a fight. That was an interesting fight, also kind of morally questionable, but we didn't know what was going on. So
the one time we were doing really well in a fight, it turns out that we were committing genocide, and we didn't mean to do that.
They may or may not have killed nearly all of the women of them before the hunting party came back, and that was an interesting time for everybody. But before some of them died, one of them did get a bite off on Rose, and she failed her save. So now her race has been changed, and she has lycanthropy. And so it's been an interesting ride. I've really been pushing Rose's character to the brink here, and they haven't really gotten a way to fix that yet. So they're kind of stuck with this circumstance now, but it hasn't really been the worst thing just because of, what does come with lycanthropy.
Yeah, a lot of enemies just straight up can't even damage her now. So that's cool. We're just like, you go, you do that.
Yeah. So it's been interesting.
There was an entire round of combat where she was being attacked by like 7 or so blights, and our DM was rolling all these attacks to see if they hit, and he'd be like, okay, 13 damage reduced to 0, 5 damage reduced to 0.
It's been interesting, but I will say that there are downsides to lycanthropy that have not been explored yet in our campaign, and but they are coming soon. And so it'll be an interesting moment where Rose gets to question whether or not it's worth it. But we will get there when we get there. Next, is there any other favorite moments that anybody wanted to bring up that you're just dying to talk about?
Well, I would like to add that at the werewolf cave, I was able to do some talking, which is quite out of character for Valen. He usually just swings the sword and hopes that solves his problems. But I was able to talk to the werewolves and get back the kids we were looking for. So, go me.
So basically 3 children had run away from the orphanage, and they found one of them with the monk that we mentioned earlier, and the other 2 had been taken by the werewolves. They were not able to save all of the rest of the kids that were there, but they were able to save the 2 that they were looking for. And so that was also a really good moment. So as far as we know, there aren't any more missing children. There are a few people that are missing. They're just not children, and so they're currently looking for those. Tell me, what are your all's thoughts on the castle? Like, how excited are you to go and explore in there?
Castle Ravenloft?
Oh yeah.
So I love a good dungeon crawl. I know not everybody shares that opinion, but I personally love it. So that part of me is very excited to see what Castle Ravenloft has in store, and I'm a huge nerd for D&D dungeons and all the classics and stuff, so I'm really excited to finally be able to play through Castle Ravenloft. But also, I am absolutely terrified because I know that everything in there is designed to kill us. So, yeah.
And also, just to mention, they've had the invitation to dine there for a while. They got it back right before Valaki, and they've just kind of been hanging on to it since, and haven't used it just yet. So when that moment comes, it'll be kind of interesting. They haven't. I don't think y'all have decided when you want to use it just yet, but I feel like it's either going to be really soon or it's going to be just wait till the very end and don't go.
Well, we have another reason to go too, is for the dragon skull.
Exactly.
We'll have to go get that at some point.
Yeah, they learned about getting the skull from the castle, and bringing it back for helping his remains go to rest. So we're excited. We're excited about that coming up very soon. Anything else? Any last moments that you guys want to bring up?
I mean, since you brought up the orphanage, I really enjoyed having like a good character moment where I got to hang out with all the kids at the orphanage, and I like made them flower crowns and stuff, because part of Lovelady's backstory is that she's never been able to have kids of her own, so it was kind of endearing to be able to hang out with them and just spend time with them, especially when there was so much chaos going on. So she was trying to calm them down and make things as easier as she could. So she was using druidcraft to make some flowers for them and keep them entertained and happy.
Absolutely. I think the entire orphanage arc was really cool. I think it's just a really, really awesome addition to the city that is kind of otherwise a little bit empty and lackluster. But
I love that whole thing.
I think it was a great addition, and I think it really added a lot to the city of Valaki. And it just makes sense to have an orphanage somewhere, right? And so to put it there, it kind of made sense for everything going forward. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to the segment that I believe all of you all are the most excited about, and that is talking about quotes out of context. So
The quotes list.
So we keep a list of quotes throughout our game, and Matt keeps track of that on his phone. And I'm just going to tell you, most of them are pretty vulgar, and I'm not going to bleep them. So you've been warned. You're just going to hear them as they have come out of our mouths. So Matt, if you want to read off some of the favorites, that'd be great.
Oh, there's so many. Let's see here. So this is a good one. Can I bonus action urinate? I don't remember the context for that. I hope that
it was. We were in the fight in the attic of the orphanage, and something caught on fire, and we were trying to put it out.
Yes, that's right. Somebody cast a spell or something that ignited some boxes up in the
It was
attic.
me.
Yeah, it was. And we were like, well, what the hell do we do? We got to put this out so we don't burn the orphanage down. So yeah, Akio said, "Can I bonus action urinate?" So I think that was when I decided to keep track of the quotes. The first one is, "You solved my boy riddle."
That was, yeah.
Most of them, I feel like most of these are you, Anthony.
I mean, I have a charisma score of 20. I'm allowed to talk a lot, I think.
Yeah, true. Let's see. Classic that we quote all the time. What's he gonna do? See you? Which I
Yep.
think was me. We decided to make our rogue invisible to do something.
It was for the coffin maker.
Right. So yeah, I think this. Yeah, you cast invisibility on Rose.
Yeah, because she
and-
also has the boots of Elvenkind.
Yeah, so her stealth is like a plus a million. So
Yeah.
So yeah, she sneaks straight up in there. We also like just kind of walked into that guy's house, and the rest of us were distracting him, and we were like, "Oh no, what if this goes wrong?" And I said, "What's he gonna do? See you? Because you're literally invisible."
And then it
Um,
did kind of start to go wrong.
Yeah, we
It
didn't
went
expect there to
so
be
very wrong.
15 vampire spawn in there. I almost died in that fight.
There weren't
Yeah.
15. There were like 7.
Right. The only reason I didn't die is because I shifted, and they couldn't attack me with advantage after I got grappled by the one.
Hmm.
And then I think Lovelady saved me.
She did, yeah.
With a healing potion.
That was a really great moment for as far as teamwork goes, because we had the moment with the cannon actually knocking out the window so that Rose could get out, which was really cool with the bones. And then of course Allie came in clutch as far as saving your life from all of the vampire spawn that were all up on you up there.
That was so cinematic too, because Allie casted the spike growth of them chasing after us to the church,
yeah.
and then we were
That
all like
chase-
Favorite
standing up.
moments.
That was
Oh,
the
how
Oh,
did I
gosh.
not mention that? Oh, yeah.
It was Nissa and I riding Sephaxis, running 120 feet per turn down the street towards the church.
Yeah.
All the while, we're all being chased by these vampire spawn. And Lovelady, with the clutch spike growth, tore them to shreds.
Yeah.
We were literally just action dashing for however many rounds. Because, me and Lovelady were bringing up the rear. And yeah, she cast Spike Growth. They ran through it, getting shredded, and then I fired off 2 Eldritch Blasts for the win.
And then we all ended up standing like on the steps of the church, and like it was really cool.
I think that was when we solidified, like, yeah, we're kind of the shit around here.
It was a very cool moment. More quotes out of context.
Let's see. During the saber-toothed tiger incident, when the tiger was tearing through guards like it was nobody's business. This was you, Dapper. Quote, "They're just gonna fuck off," regarding 2 of the guards that decided they wanted nothing to do with that,
That
and
checks out.
promptly left. Right after that, I said, after a saber-toothed tiger literally one-shotted a guard, as soon as he arrived, I said, "Dude just got spawn killed."
Yes.
Let's see here. There's no D&D post-nut clarity.
Who
Yes.
said that? I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, it's almost like we.
I believe that had to do with right after Valaki.
Yes,
with the
yes, that was at
merchant.
the Love Shack, as we came to call it.
Oh yeah, Jenny's shack. Fond memories.
Yeah, so our paladin got a little excited with the shopkeeper, and yeah, that's exactly where that went. And so yeah, he did not have any kind of clarity afterwards. He still sticks by what he did.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I think part of it was that I argued that I should get inspiration or something because of it, and you said no.
Yeah, I said no. No.
Let's see.
I think we should also talk about Akio and the whole dance thing that he had to do, and he got wrong, and then a
yeah.
dragon
Oh
showed
my
up.
god, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Don't embarrass me. I'm not proud, okay?
So if you guys have played Curse of Strahd, you know that you have to do these little signs in front of Van Richten's tower in order to get it to open. Well, I'm like, okay, maybe they'll have to think about this for a couple of minutes. It'll be whatever. No, Anthony just goes, I know exactly how to do it. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, you just follow the line and you do the signs. And I'm like, I mean, go for it. And I'm looking at the answer there, and he just starts doing random stuff. And I'm like, well, the first couple
that is
were
not
right.
true.
The first couple were right.
The first two were correct, and then I was too far away, and I couldn't see where the line went. And so by number 3, I got it wrong. And then I did 3 more, and then I had reached the end, but I knew that was wrong, and I said, wait. And yeah.
And it was an interesting moment, because then there was a dragon right behind them, just ready to go to town on them. So yeah, that was a fun time when that happened.
Yeah, that one was great. Let's see what else we got. Oh,
I fixed it though. I made the dragon go away.
Yes, you did. Oh, we promptly then blew up the cart that had the map in it. Our quest for a map has been long and arduous, but we finally got one.
They have been asking me for a map of Barovia since session 3 or 4, and here we are, 8 or 9 months into it, and they just got it 2 sessions ago because they blew the one up in the cart. And so I also placed one at the winery because I figured that they would need one to make all of their deliveries. So yeah, they finally got one, but it's been a long time coming, and they've asked pretty much every single person they could if they had one.
Finally, at long last, we have a map. Let's see. My name is Tyler Johnston, a human man, and I
that's
did
the
it
best
all by
one.
myself.
Yeah,
that
would
was
you like
my
to
best deception check.
Would
I
you
give
like to
the
talk to me
context for
about
that?
Would you like to talk about Tyler Johnston?
So Tyler Johnston, after we slayed Izek, we went back to Lady Voctor, who paid us to do that, basically, and to incite the riot. And I told her basically what happened, everything, the whole deal. And then as soon as I finished that story, I realized I don't really know exactly what I was thinking. In my head, I was like, what if there's a bug? Like, what if someone wiretapped this room? It's D&D. I don't think wiretaps exist, but I wasn't sure.
Hey, but
And so
scrying
I
does.
said, scrying exists. So I was like, if someone's listening, I'm going to throw them off. And I said, that's right. It was me. My name is Tyler Johnston, a human man, and I did it all by myself. And then I rolled like a 24 to deception.
I think
So
you
she
rolled a
believed
natural.
that my name.
Yeah, I think you rolled a natural 19 or something up there. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so then it would have been like a 27. I have a very high persuasion.
It was kind of dumb.
It was, yeah. And so now we reference that, and anytime we do something bad and we don't want to tell people it was us, we blame it on Tyler Johnston.
Yeah, he's got a pretty rough reputation around Barovia now.
Yeah, that's a great one. Let's see. Oh, why is there a bathtub in here? Parentheses. There is no bathtub. Close parentheses.
Yeah, that one was me.
Yes, that was in Argent Vostolt. And it was looking into one of the rooms across from where Vladimir was. And I don't remember exactly what brought up that there was a bathtub. But there was something that brought that up, and then she's like, yeah, why is there a bathtub in there? Oh wait, there's not one. I think that was kind of how
there was a
something.
bathtub on like the floor below us, and like the water was dripping into that room or something, but I don't know. I think Nissa maybe zoned out and just heard throne room bathtub and connected the dots.
It all worked out into an amazing moment. What else you got?
One of my personal favorites, from the actual module itself, the outhouse contains no surprises.
Yes.
Yes. At the winery, it says the outhouse contains no surprises, per the book. And I think that's an amazing quote.
Yeah, that was really funny. I Also, I was rolling a Constitution saving throw for the glass. I don't exactly remember the context for that. I guess we were trying to bring a window somewhere, and you said I'm gonna roll a con save for the glass, and I think you rolled like a natural 1 or something.
I don't remember exactly what that one was.
I don't either. Let's see here. Big dick formation during our assault on Yesterhill.
Yes, they established the best way to assert their dominance and to go at this in an optimal manner was to form what they affectionately call the Big Dick Formation. And I mean, it's basically just like how geese fly south for the winter, just in a V formation. So it could have been called like anything else.
Could it have been though?
But I don't think
it's the energy associated with us just barging in.
That's fair.
That is what earns it the name Big Dick Formation.
It all checks out. Yeah, that was, it worked out kind of. There's also something whispering to our druid that she promptly ignored. So that was fun.
There was a lot that needed to happen. So to be fair,
I mean, she also had her sister at
and
the top of the hill.
she was also a rat at the time.
She was
a rat
rat
at the time. So.
That's true.
yes,
yeah.
I was a rat in a hat.
She's in my hat.
You know, she was hanging on. It was basically a Ratatouille moment. She was hanging on to Rose's horns, and so basically Rose was riding a horse, and then she was riding on Rose, and it was just a good moment for everybody. Do we have any more, or are we caught up?
Oh, there's I've been skipping a few that. Oh, this one's funny. I don't chase. Following the whole Sven ordeal.
Yes. So, you want to talk about that one?
Oh yeah. So when we in Valaki, there is just it's the Janvich and Sons like paper shop or something, and it was run by like 3 brothers and their dad. And I asked which one was the cutest, and you said Sven. I don't know if he's like the middleest brother or what. In my head, he's the middleest brother. And saying that a character is cute, you already know that Nissa and I are both just going to latch onto them.
Oh, yes.
And so we went to that shop several times, and every time we were both competing for his affection. We both woke up early one morning and were like styling our hair specifically in case we would see him.
Yep.
And then he approached you at the festival, and I'll let you take away what happened there because I still feel kind of bad about it.
Yeah, so I'm just standing there. I had bought a new dress from Gilly and Lottie. What was the name of the
Oh gosh, I don't have my notes in front of me.
Anyway, their little like dress shop.
The Beast's Rose. The
Yes.
Beast's Rose.
That's right.
The little dress shop that they have. Bought a new dress, did my hair up all cute and everything. And it was so funny because we were on like security detail for the festival. And out of all the people that got paired up, it was Nis and Accio got paired up at the very front. Like not even thinking about it. And so by the time that we're standing there waiting, looking and everything. And we see Sven come up and he walks over to me and we're like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Oh my gosh. And then I talked to him and I don't remember what all he said, but he goes, so I just didn't know, like, are you really good friends with your friend over there? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, could you just tell him that I said hi or whatever? And then like looks at him and gives like a wink or something. And Nissa just gets so devastated. And then, I think Accio walks over. I think he walked over and was like, it's okay. Like, do you want me to go get him? And then Nissa just angrily flips her hair and says, I don't chase. And then runs off into the corner to go cry for a minute.
So yeah, we've had some...
That was great.
We've had some interesting energy coming out from those two. Again, always looking for trouble. Those two are.
Yeah.
And then the dumbass laughed when the sun didn't catch on fire. Sven did. And got like dragged behind
Bo got himself killed.
And I say,
the burgomaster told me to tie him to the horse.
Yeah, that was.
But I cut him loose, and I made the Burgomaster fall in the mud like a dumb little idiot baby man.
Yeah, I
He
kept.
stayed there for like 3 turns.
Well,
He
I
couldn't
kept
get
rolling
up.
saves. I kept rolling checks for him to stand up in the thick mud since it was all like gross, and I couldn't roll above a 3. Like it was ridiculous. I rolled a 3 or below for 3 rounds in a row, and so I'm like, well, he's just trying to stand up and getting himself covered in mud. I don't know what to tell you. Like it was just, yeah, it was terrible. But I have really bad.
Pretty sure I laughed at him.
But I roll really poorly also, so my dice are all cursed.
It's so weird because you'll like roll nat ones for monsters, and then all of a sudden you'll like crit us 3 times in a row.
I did, yes. Last session or 2 sessions ago, I rolled 2 attacks on Nissa and almost killed her because I rolled 2 nat 20s. In like I rolled both attacks at once and rolled both of them nat 20s. So that was
got another clutch save.
yeah.
Yeah,
Lady.
I was greedy. I should have left, and I didn't.
Lady came in really clutch there. She had spider climb turned on, and so she climbed over all the blights that were around Nissa in order to cure wounds, and so it made a huge difference. So that was
Lady is also like 7 feet tall. So
Lady is
it's
very
really
large.
Funny to imagine.
And
her
we
just,
didn't realize that until like
Spider-Man-ing
a
on the
session
ceiling.
ago.
Yeah, she was like, "Yeah, I'm 7 feet tall," and everybody was like, "Huh?"
We've been playing for like almost a year, and it's like, since when?
yeah. It's been interesting for sure. Any last quotes?
Let's finish it off with when we found the Dusk Elves in the Vistani camp when we were taking the little girl back. And you said he had no ears, and I said he has no ears. Gasp! How could he hear us?
Oh boy,
That's rude. That was rude.
Yeah, I kind of regretted that one as soon as I said it, but it made the list.
It was
anyway.
really funny though.
I will also say a funny moment was in Argynvoshel with the curtain.
Oh
was so
yeah,
good.
when
Terrifying.
you guys were freaking out about the curtain.
We
Yes,
were all
that was so
freaking out.
funny.
That was so scary.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we had played it. I had played it where they
It
had
was like
gone
the
up to these
epic.
curtains.
It was like the ultimate Scooby-Doo moment.
Yeah, they had gone up to the curtains that close on their own, and so they opened one of them, walk away, and I had it to where where Nissa has such a super high passive perception from taking the observant feat. She heard it like as it closed itself, and they looked back, and we spent a good I want to say 30 or 40 minutes in real time just like testing whether or not it would open depending on different scenarios, and it was great. And I was happy to waste time on that.
You would be like, you would describe the shh, and then everybody would be like, ah, and just scream for like 5 seconds, and then do it again.
Yeah, we did that for a good while, and it was fantastic. I loved it. All right, so now that we have finished up all of those, I want to wrap up today with a couple of questions that came from our comments section. And so first up, we have, what is your favorite class or subclass or both? And it cannot be which one you are currently playing. And this could be one that you have played in the past, one that you have seen someone else play, or it could be one that you've just you've heard about it and you've thought, man, that would just be so cool to do. We'll go in the same order we went before. So we'll start with Molly.
So for this, I usually tend to play either barbarians or clerics. And so this is my first time playing a rogue, and it's really fun. But in something I did a while back, I played a Grave Domain cleric, and it was really fun. Just like aesthetically, it was really cool to be like with the graves and stuff. And I like the whole spare the dying thing where it was like a bonus action. You could use it ranged. And I thought that was just like a cool connection. And
Grave clerics are awesome.
Grave clerics are great. And my like casting focus was like this it was like a black rose that was like from my deity kind of, but I just kind of like, it was like in my hair and I could just like take it out and cast spells with it. It was really cool.
Very cool. Anthony.
I have very much enjoyed playing a paladin. It's been great to be able to put on like 5d8 damage to any hit I want, basically. But we did a one shot a while back where I played Captain Hook as a swashbuckler rogue. And I don't know if it's just because we were playing that one shot at level 10, but playing a rogue is so much fun. You've got the bonus action disengage, you can do insane amounts with sneak attack. And I just really felt like I was in that element, ducking between ghosts.
And we also had the moment where a clock ghost was possibly murdered. That was a
Hey,
good.
listen. All right.
So, just for context, we break up our Curse of Strahd a little bit, where every 2 or 3 months we will do one shots. And so, I did a Halloween one shot that was Disney themed, and so they went through the haunted mansion and fought some notable Disney villains, which was really cool. And they played as villains, basically trying to be more evil than the other villains. And we've done Dr. Seuss, we've done Polar Express, we've done a lot of really, really cool one shots to kind of break up the horror and dread aspect, because I think it just helps everybody on a just let's have a lot of fun and not be so mentally taxed the entire time. But so next up we have Matt. What would you like to play?
So, my favorite class and subclass is Hexblade Warlock. I guess I'm not technically playing a Warlock, but I kind of am, so I have another one. A couple years ago, I was in a game over Discord that one of my friends was running. It was completely homebrew, like the world was homebrew, the like story was homebrew. It was really, really cool. But he let me play a gunslinger. I just have a thing for Matt Mercer subclasses, I guess. So I played a cowboy-themed gunslinger. His name was Roland Redblower. He had a revolver named Beulah, and he was basically just your typical cowboy with a slightly medieval flair to fit the setting. He had a hat, a wide-brim hat that he wore at all times, and I eventually took some levels in Rogue to pick up sneak attack and the bonus action disengage and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really fun character. A big fan of Gunslinger.
Very cool. Reagan?
So we did in the Halloween one shot also. I really loved playing I played a warlock, and it was a
It was a custom. It was a custom subclass based on the Swarmkeeper Ranger that was moved over to Warlock.
Yeah, but I just really enjoy playing the warlock. I like the idea of the Eldritch Blast and then being able to add the extra dice to it, and I don't know. I just thought that class was a lot of fun.
Very good. I haven't given it a ton of thought for myself personally, but there have been a few options that I've been wanting to explore. I've definitely been looking at the Soul Knife Rogue. I think that it is a lot of fun as far as just the way that it looks to be able to produce weapons from absolutely nowhere.
I have one of those in my game.
And
they're very fun.
It looks really, really awesome. I've been wanting to play a Wildfire Druid. I think those sound really, really awesome as well. I also I like a good fighter, right? You can't really go wrong with the human fighter, and I haven't really explored that as far as having that a character that I've played personally, as far as that goes. And last but definitely not least, Allie, what would you like to do?
So I've played, not for very long, but I played a rogue swashbuckler in like a one-shot thing, and that was pretty cool. I was like a pirate. I was a rock gnome, so that was pretty cool. And I also have just really enjoyed seeing Rose and Molly roleplay as Rose, and I've seen like a lot of cool stuff done with that. So I haven't really explored like subclasses and like all that rogues can do, but just from what I've seen and kind of what I've done, I think rogues are pretty cool. So I think it would be interesting to dive into that a little bit more.
Very cool. And finally, for our last thing for the day, if you could make up a class or subclass what would it be? And so the question's a little open-ended as far as, you could choose maybe an influence of maybe a TV show character, or a movie character or something that isn't really represented in D&D as written, and you're like, man, that would be really cool to bring to the game. They would like to know what you would do for that. We'll go in the same order again. So Molly, what do you think? What class or subclass would you like to create, or what would you like to base a character on?
So this is a very difficult question because there's like a lot of possible answers, and also I'm pretty content with the current like classes and subclasses and stuff, and there's like plenty in my mind to like try to customize with. But I was thinking about the Eladrin and how like with the Eladrin race, it has like sometimes their seasons can kind of work where it like changes with their mood, or like if something significant happens in their life, they like change that. And I think it'd be kind of cool to apply that to a class or subclass of some type, some way, like the emotions that your character is feeling would like change how they attack or like what they can do somehow.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a cool idea.
Very cool. Very cool. Anthony?
I think it would be a neat idea to see how they could implement going like, because one thing I think is kind of difficult to do is role playing intelligent characters, because I love the idea of playing like a detective or a Sherlock type, but with the current system I don't know exactly how one would go about doing that. So I think it would be cool if they added, or if there was a homebrew even class that meshed well with playing into intelligence. And obviously I enjoy the role play element of that, so that it allows some cool things to come from that.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, because I mean the closest thing we have is what Molly is currently playing, as far as the Inquisitive Rogue, but there really isn't anything in there that's based on your intelligence. It's not so much that you are the best at like solving riddles and crimes and things. It's more so that you are just really observant and can read people really well, which I mean is a relevant skill, but you don't really have that like super hard like detective vibe, and you're not really super encouraged as a rogue to boost the stats that help along with that. So yeah, I definitely could see that being a thing. Matt, what do you think?
So, as I said earlier, I'm a big fan of the Witcher series. So, I think it'd be really cool to implement something kind of like, kind of similar to Witchers. Because in that world, Witchers are typically young boys who are taken most of the time, and then they're injected with all kinds of mutagens and potions to mutate them and give them enhanced speed, strength, hearing, sight, basically make them superhumans designed to kill monsters. Valen is sort of in that vein, if you didn't pick up on that already, but I think it'd be cool to have a dedicated class that is that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Maybe as you level up, you could like unlock different mutations, kind of like how you do in the Witcher games, and it could change how you fight and stuff like that. But,
yeah. I mean, we do have a Blood Hunter that's similar to that, but of course, one, that's not official content technically, and two, it's a little difficult to make that optimal. It is, in my opinion, one of, if not the worst Blood Hunters, and so it's not really effective at what it does, and so that's also a little tough. Is like, even if you get the flavor correct, which it still is off by quite a bit, then you're still kind of lackluster. And so, yeah, I could definitely see that being a thing. Reagan, what you got?
Mine's kind of similar to Matt's in I like Stranger Things, and we just finished up season 4 a little while ago. But I like the idea of someone like and I know that it's in there a little bit, but like more telekinetic powers kind of thing, and almost being science experiment like being able to use, and almost, I don't know, maybe like Star Wars Jedi stuff where you have more like force, being able to manipulate things with just energy around you rather than...
Yeah, the Psi Warrior I think is the closest thing we get to a Jedi, but even then, it's like it's still off in a lot of ways. And there are a lot of features that like are definitely not Jedi like, and so it definitely would need some tweaking in order to get it there. Allie, what you think?
So I don't know if this already exists or not, but I've kind of always had a fascination with like sirens, just like the more like mythological, historical aspect of sirens, and like how they're kind of creepy, and all the stories related to that, and how they like lure people in. So I don't know if that already exists in D&D or not, but I've always thought it'd be cool to build a character kind of similar to that.
Not so much on the player character side. I believe there is a monster that I believe there are monsters that do that, but on the player character side, I guess you would have to just take a combination of spells in order to get there as of right now. I don't think there's a class or subclass that really like leans into that flavor though, which is so that's cool. Very cool. So, I believe that is all we've got for today. I know we have been here for a while, but you know what? That is what it's all about. We're here to entertain you guys, and you guys have definitely supported the channel in so many ways, and I'm so thankful for all of you who are out there. I look forward to the next 1,000. Hopefully, we'll get there by the end of this year. And yeah, you guys are fantastic as always. Love you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I hope you stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you next week with some homebrew. Bye bye.